Thank you for tuning in to Koppen with Comic. I'm Brian Koppen. We're here with Comic Max Marcus. Max Marcus, how the hell are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that you came on because you're just fucking making a Max Marcus comedy across, let's check it, at least on Twitter and I think on Instagram as well.
Every social media, I was able to get it.
Yes,
TikTok
even on TikTok. And one
Even
thing
on
that we
TikTok.
found out pre-pod together is that when you Google Max Marcus comedy and probably Google everybody's TikTok, you find that the first several results are in different languages, and you didn't even know that.
No, I had no idea. You were asking me if I spoke Arabic, and I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I felt so insensitive too. I was like, that's this foreign language shit. Like, you could have been like, dude, I'm Polish, man. Like, that's my native tongue. But we learned together. Yeah. So like, if I'm able to pull down in English and then it takes me to your thing, but it kind of raises the question of whether or not it's perfectly translating you, and it's doing so without your consent. Like, you probably checked a box at some point that allows them to translate it into all the languages, but it's so, maybe that's where some of the insane engagement numbers come, because they're doing the translation for you.
Yeah, that might be. I mean, TikTok's huge right now. It's a really weird app. I don't know if you've spent that much time on it.
No, not really. Yeah, there's some people who are pretty big on it though.
Yeah,
People swear by it.
I'm not that big on it, but it's a weird addictive app. It's a very, very strange place.
But and so I guess it would give people, an opportunity to be like, okay, do I want to watch this guy's TikTok? It's about Muggsy Bogues on blacktop mode, which is so cool because you play as Muggsy against several taller people, although one of which is Spud. What was his last? Yeah, what's his last name?
Spud Webb.
Spud Webb, yeah, absolutely.
And he is the only one that I beat with Muggsy Bogues. Everyone else was.
And you were telling me pre-pod, once you finally won once, you were like, I'm done.
Yeah, no, that's all you need.
I'm hanging it up. And so it would give them an entree, but then, of course, it doesn't do the translation of your voice or whatever. But some of these people speak two languages. So if they get interested in the Muggsy Bogues on blacktop mode, they can fire it up and they might know English as well.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is I'm not talking in that one. So those actually might do well in any other language. It's just music and mostly me losing as Muggsy Bogues. The most popular.
You entertaining in many languages.
Yeah, the most popular one was Muggsy Bogues versus Shaq. That is like almost 13,000 views.
Holy fucking shit. Some of that stuff, do we think it's because it's short and is an autoplay?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the key to TikTok, is short and repeatable.
Yeah, and also maybe it shows up on some of the For You screens, like, basketball-related content or something. So you probably showed up on people who like Shaquille O'Neal.
I would hope so. I also like Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you enjoy seeing him dunk his nuts all over Muggsy Bogues' face?
Yeah, I know. No, it's a funny matchup.
Yes, I love it. I can't. Yeah, he probably can go. Did you go through his legs at any point?
No, I wish.
He's not that short.
He might be, but it might not be in the game mechanics. They might not want to disrespect him like that.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, to use my likeness, you can't let somebody go through my legs. And you do the Max Cast, new podcast. Yes. These are fresh ass episodes, man. August 20th was your first big episode. August 18th was kind of an introductory episode.
Yeah, the episode 0, as I put it on, was just kind of like explaining a bit of who I am, and like I've done mostly podcast engineering.
Okay.
Going to the other side of the podcast is a newer thing for me.
Yeah, you're on some bigger podcasts.
Yeah, I was on the big one that I work on still, which is the only one I'm currently working on, is the Potterhood podcast.
Yeah.
We just talk about Harry Potter, have a lot of great guests. We do I'm now promoting the one that's not my actual podcast.
Oh yeah,
it's fine. But it's a good podcast though. We do a high cast where we get people over and just smoke weed and watch a Harry Potter movie and kind of just comment on it as we go.
Oh, cool. And so they need an engineer for that though. They're like, we need somebody who's not high.
Yeah.
Making sure this shit sounds okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually also getting high, so.
I love that shit. Yeah, tell me about the MaxCast. How did you kind of decide on what the format would be? And you have Nico White on there, the first episode. I know he's a bigger comic, and so how'd you kind of figure out how what you wanted to talk about?
I honestly started with the name. I just I liked the way MaxCast sounded.
Yeah.
And then after that, I mean, kind of what we're going to be talking about today is what I talk about on the show is either basketball or a lot of politics. The first episode is more politics because Nico's not big into basketball, but we talk about, Kamala Harris and Biden, that ticket. We talked a lot about anime because Nico's also a big anime fan.
Yeah, I think you might have had the pronunciation correct of the Harris person. Is it Kamala? What is it?
I've been told I've said it wrong before, so I'm just gonna assume that I said it right this time.
Yeah, I would just be like Kamala. What are you talking about? Rhymes with Pamela. What the fuck?
Kamala Harris. Yeah. Yeah.
But so, I mean, you're just kind of, you're taking your range of topics and also kind of trying to figure out what your guest is into, which is pretty similar to what I do. But
yeah,
meaning like, it's like I'm not going to talk about anime because I don't know much about it, but it's like we both know about politics and basketball, so yeah, let's fucking run with it. Like, are you going to choose your guest based on the shared interest, or is it just like any guest coming up on the scene?
I'll talk to anyone, mostly comics because that's just who I know. I don't really know people outside of this world, but I would talk to anyone. It might not be worth it. I don't know if this will ever happen. It's always seemed interesting to try to talk to someone who actually believes in QAnon and try to get to the bottom of it, but it might just be that they're crazy.
We got to talk about that shit. That shit's so interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Well, yeah, like I had Chrissy Mayer on, and she's a big-time podcaster. She just had Roger Stone on.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that's like...
And I was like, I retweet former guests when they do cool shit. And like, I don't know if I care about Roger Stone, but that's a get, man. That's a big ass get. And I can't believe you fucking got Roger Stone on your podcast. That's amazing.
Roger Stone's a huge get. He's also like the weirdest person.
Oh, yeah. So it probably makes for fascinating content. But I think some of her tweets, like she's talking about, I think she got blocked by Tegan, like during the whole thing. Like even some of the thing, I think Tegan and John Legend or whatever, like what they were eating or they're having a baby, and she like talking about the eating babies thing. Like QAnon is a little bit about eating people. It's about eating babies.
Yeah,
and I don't know if she just flirts with it or what, because I think she's juiced into the compound media people, and I think they are a little bit like when she was on the pod, we didn't talk much about it, but she was like, even if you're not hardcore left, people think you're just a alt-right person. So even if you're kind of libertarian or whatever, like people just everybody's so liberal now that unless you're hardcore liberal left, you're like a Republican. And that's all she said on there. But like, I think some of her stuff, I don't know if it flirts with the whole QAnon thing. I didn't talk about whether or not she legitimately believes it.
Yeah, I would not claim anyone believes in it if I didn't know 100%. That's not something you want to put on someone.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. So I have no idea, like what whether or not she just some of these right wingers, you're like, are you just kind of like paying lip service to it because a lot of your listeners are into it, or what?
Yeah.
But it's just so fascinating. Like even the adrenochrome, like the thing that you're supposed to get from eating these people. I read one article and they're like, dude, this got started by Hunter Thompson when he wrote Leaving Las Vegas, and afterwards when they did the film adaptation, he told the director that he just made the effects of adrenochrome up. And that's ostensibly why these people are eating babies, because they want this adrenochrome or some shit. And he's like, dude, I made that shit up. I made the effects up.
Yeah, I had no idea that Hunter Thomas had anything even to do with this. Do the QAnon people know that, or is that
I don't know that they know about it, or they probably don't much care. They should be like, well, it is a real thing, but just because he exaggerated its effects don't mean it's real. Don't mean it's not real. The effects are not real, and doesn't mean that celebrities don't want any opportunity to look younger or whatever. Is it Hunter Thomas or Hunter Thompson?
I guess it's Hunter Thompson. I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know so much that when you said Hunter Thomas, I was like, yeah, maybe it is Hunter Thomas. But yeah, so yeah. I mean, the QAnon thing is just great, and the fact that I think there's a dude, and they're pitching this guy, like. I've even read articles where they're just like looking at him as a narrator. He's a master at that. Like there's actually a Q person who's leaving these breadcrumbs, and they're like, this guy's a maestro of like narrative structure, etc. Like you don't have to believe his shit, but the fact that he's keeping people hooked on his breadcrumbs, even though he's always wrong. He's always like, they're going to get arrested tomorrow. John Podesta is going to get arrested tomorrow, and there's riots in the street. It's like, well, he really didn't, and they could be like, well, he's on house arrest. How do you know that he's not in a prison right now?
Yeah, I mean, if it's even one person saying it, because I've heard that it's also just kind of they put like it's like Q drops on 4chan.
Yeah.
So it all could just be like some weird troll. It could be like a handful of people just using the same account thing. Like
Oh
this
no,
is hilarious.
oh no, absolutely. Like, so they don't know if he's part of the government or there's many people and it's just a fucking troll job, but regardless, it's fucking hilarious. And one of the cool thing about it is that like everybody can take it and run with it. They can kind of create their own spin. They're like, okay, they said there was riots and oh look here, there was people who were arrested for fighting in the street. Maybe that's what he means, and allows people to kind of fill in the blanks. And let's hope you're doing that with your comedy. Like, before we get into basketball, this is kind of a perfect segue into Max Marcus comedy. Like, what kind of stuff are you talking about on stage? Are you doing any of this breadcrumb stuff, or is it pretty like, joke punch? Are you avant-garde, or are you pretty conventional with your delivery?
I think it's pretty avant-garde. It's a combination. I'll go political. I try to do that less because I'd like Pete Buttigieg jokes that I liked, but then it's like he's so irrelevant now that it's just like there's just a short lifespan on those jokes.
Yeah.
But I'll just talk about relationships, kind of just my own thoughts on things. I like to talk about drugs. I got on stage the first time when I was like pretty young, and when I was doing it like a little bit back then, I was young and I looked really young even for my age. So it was just seeing like a baby-faced kid and talking about just drugs and like acid and all this stuff, I think was just like a funny look. I think it has had to change over the years because the more I did drugs, the more just like I look like someone who has done drugs now.
So it's less kind of surprising.
Yeah, it's not like, it's like, well, yeah, that's what we expect. That's kind of the look now.
So now you have to kind of almost go counter narrative and be like, all right, I got to talk about politics or something like that because I don't look like somebody who'd be juiced into the political scene.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Doing kind of the same thing as I did before. Now it's like he seems like a stoner and all over the place, but like I know my shit. At least I think
that's cool. But I mean, if you come off as a stoner who's kind of all over the place, that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Then you string together a lucid thought, and people are like, "Whoa, this guy's the truth, man."
Yeah. I'd say, Pete, no one in my like actual life would believe this, but a note I've gotten from bookers is just like, yeah, so obviously like your comedy's really smart, and it's just like, oh, that's like weird to hear because I don't really think of it that way.
Wow. Is it like deep thoughts and shit that a stoner would drop, or no?
No, I don't even know. I think it's just where I get into politics, and like I think I'm just trying to make like bigger points that like that I think can go over some audiences. But I know that the advice I've gotten is like never try to don't like dumb down your material, but to like always like assume the best of the audience and then try to bring them along on your thoughts, whether they make sense or not.
Yeah. And so like you do that via relationships and politics and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to even think. It's like I don't even know what I was doing anymore now that it's like now, it's just like everything seems like after Corona, like what was I even doing?
Yeah, like if it's observational, certain comics on here have been like, if it's observational, it's a little bit shot. But if it's autobiographical, that shit's evergreen, so you can keep it going.
Yeah, and I'll dive into like being Jewish and kind of using myself as that relationships, past relationships. So I try to get a good mix of like autobiographical and then topical, I think.
And so like were you raised Jewish and then you just fucking hit stonerdom, and so it's a nice combo?
Yeah, I was raised, like culturally, like as like reform Jewish as you can be. I'm like a Hebrew school dropout, so that's also kind of just part of my whole thing, I think. Even if I don't talk about it, that definitely influences it.
Okay, that's cool. I kind of like that, man. Like a lot of stuff, and there might be a lot of stoner comics out there.
Oh yeah, there are.
Who have been raised Jewish, but there hasn't been many who've actually said as much. Like I've yet to hear a stoner comedian be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Hebrew school dropout." Like I haven't heard that, so to hear that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, maybe I should dig deeper into that. I mean, I feel like also, Seth Rogen is like the ultimate Jewish stoner, so that there is a
does
little.
He talk about it as much? Being Jewish?
Um,
I guess he doesn't really do stand-up as much as,
he doesn't do stand-up as much, but his characters are generally Jewish. It's like it's in there, even if he doesn't directly say it. It's definitely right under the surface of like everything that's I think he's doing.
Yeah, I love that because I never know if somebody's Jewish. So I'm glad you said you're raised Jewish, because Darian Lusk was on here and he's like, well, that, Steely Dan might not be Jewish, but they're culturally Jewish. And I'm like, are we allowed to talk about this? Like, I've yet to ask him, like, are you Jewish? Like unless I know that somebody's Jewish, I'm not comfortable like speaking about whether or not, like labeling people culturally Jewish. But it's cool that you kind of said you had an upbringing like that. And if I were to fire up these TikTok videos, and of course I will, like, is the front facing character you're playing, or like, are you playing up stoner at all on any of these videos?
The front-facing videos are kind of just me throwing short bits out there. I think the most recent one is me, because a big part of TikTok is lip syncing to things. This is my first lip sync video where I did what's his name, Ben Shapiro, talking about the song WAP.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Did you edit it up? Like, do you slice it up pretty good? Because people have been making fun of that like crazy, but I don't know that I've seen, an edited, clipped up lip sync.
I just took a very small clip of him saying it just because, I like to work in I like more obviously performing in person because I feel like you can play around with it more.
Yeah.
With TikTok and Twitter, you need to get kind of more to the point and more concise. And I kind of like just finding different shit, and I'm like I've said all over the place. But the Ben Shapiro stuff is that have you seen the music video for WAP?
Dude, I was about ready to interview 15 comedians today. I was like, almost as homework, I probably should watch it, but nobody's mentioned it till you. So you'll have to. I think I get the idea, and I think one thing I don't like about these things is that it's usually the message that people like. Like, I'll listen to it and I'll think the song sucks.
Yeah.
Like, if the song blows, you can't rescue that with me. But like, I've had certain Beyonce, stands on here, and Courtney McGinnis was really funny in defending Beyonce. But I'm like, I think what you're talking, why is she so wonderful? Why is there the Beehive? It's because of the message. Like, if she was lyrically pretty banal or something like that, I don't know that she'd have the following that she does now. And so, is the song good? And I think I can guess at the lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, the song's fine. I mean, it's not like you don't listen to it and you're like, holy shit. It's not anything like groundbreaking.
Yeah, and I listen to new rap and new hip hop like all the time.
Yeah,
so I mean, the bar is pretty fucking high. It's like Pitchfork. Pitchfork has new ones.
Yeah,
where they're pretty much taking all the best like indie rap and mainstream rap and like churning it out every week. People have never heard of in my life, and I like a lot of it. But that just means I'm going to listen to this and be like, all right, this is fine. It's nothing groundbreaking, but they're talking about the lyrics.
I think what's funny about it is not that like the song is good or bad. It's just how upset people were by it. And it's just like, it's nothing we haven't seen before. It's just like, I feel like music for at least 2 decades has been like, just very sexual.
Oh yeah. Especially the dudes. It's like porn. It's like listening to porn.
Yeah, so it's funny that you'll hear like, I mean, you can listen to Too Short and he'll talk about like getting his dick sucked at 14.
Yes.
And no one really says anything about that. It's really when it's like women talking about sexuality that people get really upset, and it's very funny to watch.
And Ben Shapiro is just like this right-wing guy who's surfing for clicks. Like, he normally would get into this bullshit, but he's got the sponsors to support.
Yeah, he's getting it for clips. He got trashed though because the whole song, it's Wet Ass Pussy.
Yeah.
And it's him talking about how like vaginas are not supposed to be wet, and everyone was like, "Bro, dude, your poor wife." And it's just like, he's someone so easy to rag on though, but he's really popular. So it's like he's someone I don't get the appeal of at all, but he's like, I don't know. I think he is like, at least right now, like the 7th most listened to podcast episode out at the moment. I think
he's probably like dancing on the razor's edge, like talking about the big subjects and not doing the liberal left. Like if you talk about racism and you have any sort of rightward slant on it, the fact that, affirmative action, the fact that the Department of Justice is suing Yale for discriminating against white and Asians, you're like, what?
Yeah.
And that guy will be like, see, I mean, it makes a good point, like we shouldn't discriminate. I thought you guys were anti-discrimination. Well, you shouldn't be any, more for discrimination because it's against white people, right? It's still color of the skin. But but that's so funny. I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say something about Ben Shapiro. But the wet ass, even the wet ass pussy thing, I don't know that that's correct because because I had a girlfriend and like, I was like, oh, well, I eat you out and then I'll fuck you, right? That'll work. And she was like, no, like, like she loved sitting on my face. And I was like, that's fucking great, right? And now this episode is now explicit, so I'll have to check the little explicit box.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Max Marcus.
No, that's fine.
Brian went on this wet ass pussy thing.
I mean, I think I said that first. I think I brought us down this.
And she said something like, it actually dries me out. She was like, so meaning like she's like fucking orgasming on my face. That's her chief orgasm vehicle, and you can actually feel it inside when she orgasms. And you're like, okay, yeah, I made her orgasm. She's like, that's actually dries me out, and so we should not do that first. And I was like, oh, okay. So it's like something that's making this woman orgasm is kind of drying her out. That's fucked up. And maybe it's because maybe there is discharge. Maybe there is wet discharge, and then she's dry. Like who the fuck knows? It went in my mouth. I don't fucking know. But I'm meaning I think that wet ass pussy thing is a little simplistic with respect to if a chick is totally orgasming, she's wet as hell. It's like she might actually be done being wet. Like she discharged something and she's dry as a fucking bone. But regardless, it just makes for a great song, right? And great controversy and great comedy content.
Yeah, I mean it's funny. It's great content on every level. The song
it's a win for everybody.
Fine.
Ben Shapiro and Max Marcus.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if we want to put it like that. I mean, it's funny. It got for comics. Can joke about it. The right wing mouthpieces can be outraged. And the controversy is bringing a lot more attention to Cardi B. So I guess it's just it's the gift that keeps on giving. I don't know.
And was it with Megan Thee Stallion?
Megan Thee Stallion, yeah.
It's so funny. Like I had a guest on it, and I think I said it wrong. I said like Megan the Stanley or something, and that's just because I knew a Megan Stanley growing up.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm actually pretty familiar with Megan Thee Stanley, and I thought she was better than people like Lizzo, and I said so on the episode months and months ago. Mm-hmm. But I felt so fucking stupid. It's like no, I know who Megan Thee Stallion is, but I also knew who Megan Stanley was when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. But real quick, we have to get into the one topic. Do you have 5 seconds to talk about the Celtics?
I have more than 5 seconds to talk about the Celtics. I mean, I don't know if you've been watching the last like the last 3 games. Oh. They're about to sweep.
Yeah, so all I do is like I don't have TV or whatever, so I just look at the scores to make sure they won, and then I will fire up the highlights, meaning like the full game highlights. I won't get all the misses and shit, but I'll get most of the makes.
I can send it to you after the show. I have a website that just has you can stream like all sports on it, and it's like it's pretty good.
And it's free?
Yeah, it's free.
Yes, send me that link because okay, now tell me about the Celtics. Like I adopted them. Like of course I'm from Chicago, so
oh really?
The Bulls growing up were fucking amazing, but at some point they went to shit, and there was no hope because of Garpax. The front office with Paxson. John Paxson? Yeah, I think that's his name. It's not Paxton, Paxson. Yeah. And so I was like, who am I going to pick? And I saw Isaiah Thomas take LeBron to Game 7 or some shit, and I hate LeBron. And then I saw the young kids come along, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Yeah. And I was like, and then they had like 10 more picks. And I was like, all right.
I know.
They're supposed to have a young, good coach. The Celtics are now my team. And that, it's been that way for a while, several years, and they have yet to win. But what do they look like without Gordon Hayward right now?
They did all right. They, I mean, it's hard to say because they were going up against a Sixers team that didn't have Ben Simmons.
Yeah. But I mean, the drop coverage shit. They're saying that's going to happen against the Raptors and the Bucks too. The drop coverage.
Who's dropped? Just that.
They like Ben. Embiid will just drop back, and they just fucking pick him off in the mid range.
Oh yeah. I mean, Joel Embiid is really good, but he's one of those guys. He's like, I feel like he's just like inconsistent, So it's like, and if he's not always trying to like give it 100%.
He's tired, right?
He's tired. It's a lot for a big guy to run up and down the court for.
Oh, it's a lot for a big guy. We feel so bad about Embiid, don't we? Didn't they eliminate Celtics last year or no?
No, they didn't meet up last year. Okay. They got knocked out by the Raptors and Kawhi.
Yeah.
and Celtics got knocked out by the Bucks in the second round. But I like the Celtics' chances this year. I think they can go at least to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think they could maybe go. I think they could get to the finals. I think it's going to be tough. They'll have to get through the Raptors and then probably the Bucks. But I don't know. I could also see the Miami Heat getting an upset against the Bucks.
Well, I mean, if they get an upset against the Bucks and then we face the Heat, maybe we got their number 2. It's just it's the variance though of these teams depends on whether or not they're making the shots, and that's why like the Raptors, they're like they just give up the threes, and if you're making your threes, you win. Yeah. And if you're not making your threes, you're losing, and I think that's the same thing with the Bucks, and so missing Hayward kind of fucking blows.
Yeah.
But I think even Marcus Smart can occasionally hit those shots, and it's just kind of a make or miss league. So I think that they recently beat the Raptors. I think one of the final seeding games or regular season games.
Yeah, one of the final bubble games.
Yeah, they whooped up on the Raptors, and then also the Magic beat the Bucks. So you're thinking, well,
yeah.
If the Magic beat the Bucks in Game 1, can't the Celtics beat the Bucks?
If you'd think that if the Magic can get a single win,
on
the Bucks, then maybe the Celtics can get 4. I don't know.
I was waiting. Perfect.
It would be Game 7. It's going to be a bunch of Game 7s going forward. I mean, I think the Celtics are just a bit better than the Raptors still, and I think. I think they're good. What about out west? What do you think? What do you think is happening out there?
Oh, damn. So we got so the Mavericks finally beat the Clippers, but then what's his name got hurt. I think Doncic is having an MRI.
Yeah, Luka, who knows how long he'll be out. Hopefully not that long.
Yeah, and I think the Blazers got a game off of LeBron.
Yeah, their third games. That's who I want the Blazers to upset the Lakers so badly. Yeah. That's like
I hate LeBron with a passion. It's like if Michael Jordan didn't play on my team when I was young, I would have hated Michael Jordan too. I'd be like, fuck Michael Jordan, man. He keeps whooping up on my teams. Like I've been hate watching LeBron for decades. Yeah, if that's possible. But so I hope he doesn't. I'd rather have the Clippers, beat him, of course. I can't think of any. Who else is coming out of the West? I don't think the Jazz or the Nuggets.
The Nuggets. The Jazz, I actually thought were going to get their asses kicked, but now they're up 2-1.
Oh, good. The Nuggets. Oh, that's nice. But I suppose there's the Rockets.
The Rockets are probably going to
Thunder.
Yeah, Thunder.
Sweep them.
I think they might. I mean, once you're already up 2-0 in this weird middle ground, it seems like I don't know. That like the worst team cannot have like a boost from being at home. Just seems like the momentum just is so much more on the team that's winning.
But I think I'm trying to figure out whether or not the Rockets can make it. Like it's a make or miss league, so I think that if Westbrook comes back in time, I wouldn't put it past the Rockets to get to all the way to the finals, and that would be nice if the Celtics met them there because the Celtics are good at guarding the 3.
Yeah, and I think that would be a good matchup for us just because they're so small, and I think center is probably our weak point. Yeah. Although between Tice and Cantor, we've done pretty good job holding Embiid off, so that might not even be this like weakness that I've thought we've had all year might be not as big of an issue. So
and also Time Lord, like if you're just trying to like bang up somebody like Embiid, you're like, dude, if we have 3 bodies to throw at him, like, and I think you could choose who you want to suit up. I almost think like, I don't know who else would have to sit down, but Poirier or whatever, like center by committee. If you're just trying to bang with the big dudes, but you're right. Like when the Rockets come, it'll be small ball. But I think we recently got trounced by them too, the Rockets. Didn't we get trounced by Westbrook and Harden recently?
I don't remember. We might have. But it's one game in like that weird 8-game bubble, so it's like you can't take too much stock in any of those games. I mean, the Blazers went 8-0, and they got tossed out to the lottery.
Yeah. What the Suns did.
Suns did too.
Well, you said 8-0 and then got tossed out of the bubble. Who are you referring to?
Oh, fuck, you're right. The
Suns did. And so then you're like, why is everybody's like, why were the Suns invited? If you can go 8-0 and still not make the fucking playoffs, but they're like, you could have if X, Y, and Z also happened.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Is like the Suns went 8-0. But I mean, if they had a better record before the bubble, they'd be in there right now. But they're like they're good. I think they have I don't know where they're drafting. I forget.
Yeah.
But they're gonna be good next year, I think. I mean, Devin Booker's just gonna keep getting better, and this is something to hold on to. I think they're gonna have a chip on their shoulder, which is always fun.
Yeah, that's cool, especially if Tice is still, and not Tice, but the redhead guy. Who's the guy who used to be a Celtic who's now in the Suns?
Oh,
Baines. Aaron Baines?
Yeah, Aaron Baines.
Yeah. But also, like, I think the Celtics are drafting 14th, and I normally was like, well, that sucks. But they go, that's where we got Romeo Langford last year. And I was like, because that Romeo Langford guy is, he's actually playing right now. Like, meaning, like, during even the highlights that I saw, he was on the floor. And I think that's because he's a defensive specialist and Hayward's out. So it's nice to see, him and Grant Williams and all these people kind of get some run.
Williams.
Yeah. And he's making the shots. And like, if they're going to do the drop coverage where Embiid is just going to not play you on the arc, he's just going to drop back to the basket, then, play Grant Williams. Because if fucking Tice doesn't, isn't hitting his shots, play Grant Williams, and he'll just keep stroking the three. And, three is worth more than two, and it takes them longer to get their two. Embiid, it takes him forever to get his two. They're all chopping at the ball. You love to see that, right?
Yeah. Well, what made me happy is you see, like, Embiid as someone else, like, double teaming Tatum, and it's like, dude, they need their best player and someone else on Tatum, and it's just like he's just so good. It's really fun to watch him.
That's fun to watch, and I think LeBron said something like that kid's going to be a problem, and I think he's a problem already. And of course, I'm an underdog guy, so I like Jaylen Brown even better. But I think them two together, it's like you got the Batman and the Robin, and they're going to switch capes each night.
Yeah. They're a good combo. I think there's something very like Kawhi and Paul George about them. Not that I think either one is as good as those two yet, but I think it's getting closer.
Oh, sure. They might be together longer.
They'll be together, and they're already. I mean, they've already been together longer. I think Kawhi and Paul have been together 1 year, not even. And these guys are like growing up together.
They're telling PG-13. They're like, dude, Paul George, you have to hunt for the mismatch. Like, you just are doing the Mavericks a favor by not trying to get the shitty guys switched on you. It's like Mavericks are doing a better job at getting the mismatches. So Doncic is always driving on the weak link. And Paul George is like, I'm so good, I don't have to do that. It's like, I don't know that you are, dude. You have yet to show us playoff Paul George.
Yeah. I mean, Doncic is just so good. He's like, he's insane.
But even George is. Like, if Doncic can get a mismatch by calling for a screen, Paul George can.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a good matchup. I think even if Luka wasn't hurt, and I don't even know how hurt he is, I still think Clippers would have gone through. I think I think what happened really is that the Mavericks almost won the first game, but then Porzingis got kicked out for stupid reasons, and then they lost, but it was close, and then they had something to prove, like, well, here's us at full strength, and then after that, the Clippers, I think, are like, okay, yeah, we get how good you are. We're not gonna let that happen again.
Dude, and I think when bringing it back to comedy, I think Max Marcus, he's known as the smart comic, and so our lips to God's ears. I think that someday people will call you Max Marcus Smart. What do you think?
Max, I would love Max Marcus Smart. I wanna. That's one of my because I also like I write like I've done some like web series type stuff and like scripts, but one of my dreams is I want to write films with or TV shows, whatever the medium is, with NBA players or ex-NBA players, and I would love to team up with Marcus Smart one day.
Yes, he's our new Dennis Rodman. He's our guy. Like I had Dennis Rodman when I lived in Chicago, so now I have Marcus Smart now.
Yeah.
You love to see the fucking badass winning plays that Marcus Smart plays, and let's just hope that as far as comedy.
Do you remember? Sorry to cut you off, but do you remember when it was like King? I think it was a King Celtics game. It must have been Marcus Smart's first or second year, but he got into it with DeMarcus Cousins, and Cousins picked him up and threw him to the ground, and he's just like, yeah, it's crazy. You need to find that highlight. It's just like Marcus Smart just gets up. He's like Marcus Smart's built like a brick shit house. He's just great. He's yeah.
You got to do a video for that. See if you can somehow get Marcus Smart versus DeMarcus Cousins or whatever, and try to get him mixing up and whatever. And that's just like, yeah, I would love to see him coming back at Cousins like that.
Yeah, well, that's something. That's my one. I love NBA 2K. That's the game I play the most. I wish you could make the players fight. I want it to be like hockey, where it's like in an NHL game, you can just like throw down your stick and start brawling it out. I know that like they don't allow that in the NBA anymore, and they would never in a million years allow that in the video game. But it would be so much fun.
There's got to be a mod or something, like some developer somewhere had the modifier that enables us to do that. And when you find that, you got to fucking forward that to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm playing tonight, and of course, like I'm playing my career mode and things like that. Yeah. I'm playing as a rookie, and of course, I picked the Celtics.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a fun game.
So we had a fucking comedy podcast followed by a Celtics podcast, but you can, all this stuff is going to be in spades when it comes to the Max Cast, which is currently on Apple Podcasts, which is awesome, and then on just everywhere. He's Max Marcus Comedy, even if you're looking for a foreign language version of a TikTok.
Yeah. If you want to see Arabic TikToks, I guess I'm also that. I'm also on Spotify.
Really?
So yeah, iTunes and Spotify. You can stream on either one.
The Max Cast is also on Spotify.
Max Cast is also on Spotify. Yeah.
Well, sweet, because everybody can listen to this episode on Spotify, and so after they do that, go to the Max Cast and check out him and Nico White as episode 1, or the kind of the main episode. And who's coming on next, and when do you drop?
I'm gonna be recording sometime early next week. I think Tuesday with Chloe LeBranch.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm also the engineer on her podcast, The Close Show, which is on a hiatus, and I'm her sidekick on her new show, News for Women. I just sit behind her in a turtleneck and pink blazer and say nothing and look sad. And
that's wonderful.
Yeah,
you're gonna get so many listeners from that.
Yeah, no, I've gotten fans from that. It's mostly like Chloe being mean to me. And then her fans just think it's funny to be mean to me. So I'm kind of just bullied all the time, but it's like in good fun, I think.
Okay, well, I will follow her on Instagram right now, and hopefully I'll see a cameo from Max Marcus.
Yeah. She'll be back in the city soon, and hopefully we'll have more News for Women out in the next week or two.
Yeah, that's a big episode coming out. Max Marcus, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. It was great.